A flexible liner gives your pond just that, flexibility. Let your creativity go. You can construct a pond of any size and shape. And once you get started, just 6 steps will guide you through the process, and the finished product will enhance your home landscape for years to come. Now, let's get started with the first step, site selection. Your pond belongs in a spot where you will enjoy it the most. Our demonstration pond is on a sloped site, visible from the deck, where it can be appreciated as part of outdoor entertaining. Also, consider locating the pond where it can be seen from the rooms you use the most. This way, the pond becomes a part of your everyday life. To work out the exact specifications, use graph paper with each square representing 1 square foot. Now, sketch out your pond. Draw a side view showing the deep section and shallow plant shelves. To determine the length of the liner needed, measure the total length of the sketched liner. Be sure to include at least a 1-foot overlap on all sides. Next, draw a similar side view of the pond, showing the width. Measure to find the total liner width. Now you've got the pond's shape and dimensions. It's time to buy the right size liner for the project. Remember, it's always safer to buy a liner that's slightly larger than what the project requires. The first step is to mark the outline of the pond on the ground. You can use a garden hose or rope to get the perimeter just right. Take measurements and adjust the shape and size to match the design you created. Next, mark the perimeter with flour or spray paint. With the outline in the correct place, you're ready for the next step, excavation. Start removing the sod and soil, and here's at least one instance where you'll want to stay inside the lines. It's important to avoid creating a hole that's too big for the liner. One tip that can help is to cut a piece of rope the length of the pond liner. Then cut another piece the width of the pond liner. During digging, lay the 2 ropes in the hole along the bottom and the sides of the pond to mark the boundary. By keeping the excavation within these limits, the hole won't end up too big for the liner. If you wish, you can reserve the excavated soil to use in building up a slope for a waterfall feature. You'll need a way to stack rocks up the sides of your pond and a place to plant aquatic vegetation. You need shelves. During digging is the best time to carve out shelves. It's a lot easier to create shelves at this stage than it is to construct them later out of loose soil. Use a flat blade shovel to carve the shelves, making sure the walls are flat and steep. A rock shelf should be at least 8 inches deep to provide a good platform for stacking stones. Shelves can be created for rocks both below and above the water surface. Since this pond is built on a slope, more shelves are carved into the uphill side of the pond. And a deep section has been created in the middle of the pond to accommodate fish. The next step? Leveling. Using boards with a level on top, determine where the maximum water depth will be. You'll need to keep checking throughout the digging process. Move the level completely around the pond to determine where the water surface will be, and lower or raise the height of the sides to make it level. Also, check to make sure the shelves are level on all sides. Measure the water depth of the pond. The deepest section should be between 18 and 24 inches deep. Water at that depth won't freeze during the winter, providing a safe haven for the fish. Once you're satisfied with the shape and size of the pond, it's time to finish the hole. Shovel and sweep out any loose soil. Cut off any protruding roots. Remove any stones that could damage the liner. Make sure you have a smooth, properly sized hole for your pond. Now it's time for the next step, adding the sand. Apply 1 to 2 inches of sand so it covers the entire surface. This acts as a protective cushion under the liner to prevent punctures. Spread the sand on all the shelves and over the bottom. Moisten the sand first and then smooth it on the vertical walls. That way it will stick. Shift the sand on the shelves and the pond edges to fine-tune the surfaces and make sure they're level. Scrap carpeting can be used in addition to the sand or in place of it. The goal is to protect the liner. Now it's time to install the liner itself. This might take extra help. Place the liner in the middle and spread it out to cover the entire hole. Adjust the positioning of the liner, making sure there's about 12 inches of overlap all around the pond edges. Once the liner is in its proper place, you can add the water. The weight of the water will help the liner conform smoothly to the hole. As the pond is filling, you can continue to push and pull the liner into position, minimizing any folds or wrinkles. Finally, it's time to add rock to the pond. You can purchase rock from a local stone dealer. The type and amount of stone you need depends on the size and complexity of your pond. Most rock dealers will deliver the stones directly to your site. River round stones are a popular choice. Use the large ones for building the walls inside the pond and for the border. Fill in the gaps and line the stream bed with smaller river round stones. Flat fieldstone is another good choice for constructing waterfalls and edging. You can start stacking the stones while the pond fills, but don't forget to keep smoothing out any wrinkles in the liner as the water rises. Begin by placing rocks underwater on the shelves. Stagger the rocks and offset the stones to create a natural appearance and a stable base. The submerged rocks will form a platform for the edging stones. Place decorative river pebbles and smaller stones between the larger rocks. You'll be adding beauty and providing a surface where aquatic plants can take root. Covering every inch of the exposed liner will result in a more natural appearance. Remember, the water level may drop during hot, dry weather. You should stack rocks on the shelves below the water surface to make sure the liner stays covered, regardless of the water level. Create a barrier between the yard and the pond by raising the liner edges slightly above ground level. This will protect the pond from any mud or chemicals that might come from the lawn when it rains. Once the stonework around the edges is complete, you can fold or trim the excess liner to finish the pond. One more tip, make sure to include a low point on the pond edge. That way you can direct any water that overflows during a heavy rain to drain away from your house. Now you've got your flexible liner pond installed and looking good. It's time to add filtration, a waterfall, aquatic plants, fish, and surrounding landscaping. Check out the other chapters for information on these topics and more.